You are now live with Dylan Kimberlin. Good evening. We are live. My name is Dylan Kimberlin. I'm currently at Mooloolaba or KT Academy. Currently sitting with two of the strongest female players in the Australian scene currently. We've got Sciaky on my, that'll be your right, and then Michelle Chen on your left. Luke, do you want to give yourself a bit of an introduction? These people probably have no idea who you are despite all the times I've streamed you in tournaments.
So my name is Ludovica, but everyone calls me Lu because it's easier. I come from Italy, I'm from Milan, and I moved to Australia 7 years ago. And I'm an ex-tennis player. I used to play tennis and play tournaments all over the world. Then I had an accident, so it made me stop. So I came to Australia and I started coaching here. So I'm currently under sponsor visa and then coaching at the KT Academy and pickleball and tennis as well, obviously.
Yeah. Cool. All right. And Michelle, what about you?
I'm originally from Canada, from Toronto, way up north where it's nice and cold. I played a lot of golf and tennis growing up and fell in love with pickleball, playing with my mom, so that was a lot of fun.
Fair enough. All right. So, you guys are obviously not from here.
Yep.
It's funny because when I talk to people that play pickleball, a lot of them are from Australia and they think, Australia's the bee's knees and we're very cool and whatnot. But is there anything that, let's talk from Italy. Is there anything from over here? Because obviously I've done a bunch with Deb Rossi in the past and she's like, Australia drives me nuts. Is there anything you think Australia does really poorly regarding like Italian food, cuisine?
Well, obviously, yeah, the food is the first thing. And what else? Well, Australia is good for many reasons, like opportunities. But I feel there is not much culture in, as I said, the food and other aspects.
Yep.
So probably the most popular thing here in Australia, which you don't have to try, is the Vegemite.
I don't like Vegemite. Call me
No, don't try.
Okay, surely our wine's not bad though.
Yeah, no, the wine is good, yeah. But Italian wine is still top of the list.
Well,
but yeah.
All right. What about you, Michelle?
Maple syrup.
Yeah, okay, wow.
Yeah, and the real stuff from the maple tree.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever tried it.
Oh, it's so good. They put it over ice, and in the winter you roll it up, and it's kind of like a little, lollipop.
Wow.
Of maple syrup. It's.
There you go. I had no idea. That's awesome. Okay.
Wow.
Oh, there you go. You learned something. That's cool. All right. So, the reason why I've got these guys on, or these ladies, I should be saying. If you followed the last video I did with Margot and David, I talked about what the purpose of these videos are. So I'm going to be going around the greater Queensland region, talking to a bunch of people from the Australian pickleball scene. Now, you guys are great to have a conversation with. Not only are you both coaches, but you're very good in your sort of fields. So, Lou, we're going to start with you. Now, for the people that are listening at home, if you're considering getting into singles tournaments, so tournaments with the singles space, but you don't know what to do, believe me, we've all been there. I tried singles for the first time last year and versus some of the good gentlemen in the space and got absolutely obliterated. But that's part of it. You learn very quickly in singles. It's a very humbling event. Lou, is there any particular tips for people that either have maybe played tennis and they want to get into it, or have never played singles in pickleball before but want to give it a go?
All right, so obviously the first tips would be, like in double, you need to try to go to the net as quick as you can, but you don't have just to run random to the net. You just need to select the right shot to go to, otherwise it's going to be easier to pass you. And when you go to the net, probably try to don't run in the middle of the court, but try to cover mostly you're down the line. Because if the other player try to pass you, if they try to go down the line, the ball actually travel for less time rather than if they try to go down cross court.
Okay.
So if they go cross court, you still have time in some way to reach the ball because it travels for longer.
Yeah. So just so I'm understanding this correctly.
Yeah.
So if someone is playing, let's say you're facing, if I was playing you at home right now,
Yeah.
you would recommend hitting it straight rather than across?
It's not much the approach, is more like when you run to the net, try to cover your down the line, because if they want to pass you, the ball travel for less time if they go straight, instead of they try to go cross, it travels for longer time, so you still have, the person at the net still have time to reach
Time
it.
to get it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And I guess in singles, because it's so fast,
Yeah.
you keep mentioning that you want to hit a shot that takes less time to get to the opposition.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering what we mean by that at home, so if you think about if you're at the kitchen line, right, and someone hits a volley at you, it's very quick, right? You don't have much time to react. Whereas if you're back at the baseline, you have plenty of time to react.
Yeah.
So I think what Lou's saying there is if you were to hit it straight, it does not have to cover as much space as if you were to hit it diagonally. As a result, it's much quicker. I'll put up some pictures as well while we're discussing this.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great tip. Now, regarding singles, service.
Yeah.
So obviously in singles you only get one serve.
Yeah.
It's not like doubles where you can rely on your partner to save the day. Any particular tips?
So obviously the main tip is to keep the serve deep, because you want to push the other player, keep the other player back. Another thing that I do, usually the first 5 minutes when before I start the match, when I warm up, I always analyze the best shot of the other player. So I try to play to serve on the backhand if the backhand is the weakest shot, or I try to play to serve out to push the other player out on the forehand if the weaker shot is the forehand. Or if it's both good, the player has both good shots and you just wanna, but it's like slow to react, you just serve deep in the middle at the body, so the other player doesn't have many angles to return the ball to. So.
No, that's good advice.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, if you're like me and here I am sweating everywhere. We just did drills before this session, by the way, and I'm drenched. But if you're like me, you kind of just serve it anywhere. You just try and get it in. But I guess if you're at the stage now where you're ready for tournaments, this is probably something you should start thinking about, is where you're going to serve the balls. Now, Lou made a great point there of understanding people have weaker strokes. Now, you're probably watching at home and you're like, oh yes, I could work on my backhand or I could work on my forehand. That's, I think, what she's directly referring to, in that you know what your weaknesses are, the opposition are going to try and find out what they are.
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
should be doing that.
Yeah, from the first shots.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
It's very cutthroat singles. So,
Yeah.
we'll bop over to you, Michelle. You're singing there very quietly. Just like, oh yeah, singles, it's crazy. You've got to be fit to play that. Yeah.
Lots of running.
Yeah, lots of running. Prepare yourself for that, by the way.
Yeah.
In singles, lots of running. The doubles side of things is completely different, right?
Yep, so you have to play with someone else that you can't necessarily always control. So you really want to make sure you communicate well with them and move together as a team and always back them up. So for example, if they go out wide, you follow them. You cover the most highest percentage shot that the other players can hit, and you kind of let that low percentage, high risk shot for them to slide. And for beginners, I'd say similar to singles, deep serve, deep return if you can. Intermediate players that are trying to get better, try and cut down on your unforced errors. And for those advanced players, work on that transition zone. A lot of top players are very good at defensively, and they can keep the rally going.
Yeah. So one thing that during my commentary, and ironically I've done it for games you guys have been in, but I always say that, in my opinion, the most underrated shot is the reset. Now, you've mentioned there about defensive play. For you guys wondering at home, what is a reset? It's basically when you're in trouble, you and your partner have been put in an uncomfortable position, you can kill the ball or slow it down so you can get back into a better position. You mentioned defensive play. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but here in Australia, everyone is flat out. We like to just get in there, whack ball. Lou mentioned earlier running to the net as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But defensive play is actually very important, right?
Yeah, for sure. You find that a lot of players will do attack on defense, especially here in Australia. They're very aggressive. This one especially.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
But defense is really important when you're kind of in trouble and they're hitting down at your feet. You don't want to be attacking it, because when you're hitting down at your feet, the paddle's up, so that means the ball's going to go up and they're going to be able to keep smashing at you. And I think being able to reset it or do a lob or change the pace really changes the game for the opponents, and then gives you some time to get back to the kitchen where you win all the points, basically.
Okay. No, that's solid, very solid advice. And I guess there's always things to be learning, especially in the doubles field. Now, you mentioned playing with people that you might not necessarily have played with much, or you have no control of what they do. So, obviously with doubles, right, if you're watching at home and you've never played a tournament, doubles traditionally is either you play engendered, so you play with a person with the same sex as you, or you play mixed, so you play with someone opposite. Now, from what I've seen in commentary, different play styles in both. I actually find the ladies are way more fiery.
I'm very fiery. We are good together because she's very calm and I'm very fiery, so she controls me.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But it's something that you can't do much about if your partner is let's say your partner's getting upset. They keep making simple mistakes, unforced error. It's windy. The ball keeps going away. What do you guys do? And I'll bring you in this as well, Lou. What do you guys do when you're playing with someone who's just like, okay, come on, let's go back down to fundamentals, cool it down, what can we do? Do you have those conversations? Obviously timeouts come into play here.
We do it.
Yeah.
Well, I always try to support my partner, despite sometimes I get crazy, but for myself, not for my partner. And I start to speak in Italian, but she knows what I say because I told her everything.
Yeah.
So she understands me, but the other people not. No, I try to support my partner, and if he's in a bad day or something, I try to cover more court and help my partner out in some way. Yeah.
Okay, Michelle, is there any tricks you've got?
Well, for me, I like to be supportive, and I'm the type of person who will be very hard on myself, but not on my partner. So I just make sure that if I ever get a little vocal, it's on me and not them. Because I think making them feel like they've done something wrong, they already know. So making them feel worse isn't really gonna help. So I think always trying to be positive, even if the things aren't going your way, and encourage them in Italian or
just butcher a language. And that goes for you couples out there too. Now I know playing with my partner Emily, we get quite vulgar with each other, and if you do play with your significant other, it can be tough. But I think, especially in the Australian scene, the advanced cohort's pretty good. But for you guys that are in your intermediates, your 3.0 to 3.5s, utilise your timeouts. Now, how often in games, in tournaments, do you use timeouts every game?
Honestly, I just started because probably she was telling me use the timeout, because for me it was just straight like in tennis. If I have to take some time for myself, I take like 2 extra seconds to serve, but I don't normally do timeouts, but I started now.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, tennis players, they usually aren't used to timeouts, so
we're coddled here in pickleball.
It changes the game so quickly and the momentum. And I think I try to use it whenever I'm down, or I feel like they're getting a bit too much momentum, they're going too quickly, I want to slow it down, it's not to my style of pace. And that's usually a good time too, even if you feel like you're kind of stuck at 2-all, then you can break up the pace and reconsider your strategy and try and change it up, really.
Yeah, and I think you've mentioned a great point there, that if you're wondering at home like let's say you want to get it into doubles for the first time, or singles you can do timeouts too.
Yeah.
Tournaments for the first time, and you're wondering what is a timeout. So essentially, whatever tournament you're in, it will get stated at the start of the tournament that this is how many timeouts you're allowed during a match. Now, traditionally it's 2 or 3 for singles, doubles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two or each game.
2, and then you get a medical. So if you listen to my video the last video I did with Margot and David, we actually talked about different types of timeouts. So if you haven't watched that and you're wondering about it, I'd recommend going and watching that because those guys are referees from Pickleball Australia. They know what they're talking about. Okay, let's talk about tournaments. So you guys are obviously both sponsored by 6O. You've got your stuff all over you. You're wearing a lovely KT shirt. You got the 6O Open coming up. Now, would this be a tournament that you might recommend for players that have never played a tournament, or is this more sheep stations, gung-ho?
There are gonna be 3 divisions. So there's gonna be the Open division where it's gonna be just focused on advanced player, and then there's gonna be for intermediate and for a beginner as well a division, so everyone can come and spend a day on court and try out how are the tournaments and have fun together, and also stop to watch the players from the Open division, which is it's always high level, and it's good fun to watch, and you can learn a lot from them as well. So I recommend everyone to come because there's gonna be also a good atmosphere with music, food, and it's not just a tournament, and
Yeah, cool.
Good vibes, and the more the merrier.
Yeah, exactly, always.
And I guess regarding the tournament, so for those at home that hasn't seen the various posts on socials regarding the tournament schedule, there's a ton. But it's always good to get into, if you haven't played a tournament yet, it's always good to get in early because you realise very quickly this is pretty fun and I want to do more. Because we've just come off the Christmas break and it's been, 3 months since the tournament. So it'll be 3 months before this particular tournament. Do you know what the dates are off the top of your head?
Yeah, 18 and 19 of March. Yeah,
March,
so it's 1 month and a half.
Yeah, it's pretty soon. Now, tournament prep. Okay, so we know that this event's coming up, and if you're interested, you're like, I'll chuck it up on the screen. But got to find a partner if you're playing doubles. Now, various tournaments do have options, it depends on the software, whether you brackets, tournaments, pickleball tournaments, whatever. They have options to actually, I need a partner. So if you're a solo that's like, I want to give this a go, it usually does pop up. If you're playing with your significant other or a friend or someone from your club, you can always join up with them. I guess we'll wrap it up, but any final words regarding what to expect from a tournament, what to bring is probably a big one. For me personally, my number 1 tip, food. Emily and I, my partner, we always bring just an esky. We always have wraps and cold drinks, and not the alcoholic kind, that's later. But because you don't realise how tiring tournaments are, hey? Yeah. By the end of the day, you're wrecked. Plenty of sunscreen, hat,
yeah, sunscreen, hat, water, food, change if you have more than 1 t-shirt because it's pretty hot in these days.
Yep.
So you're the man to hit up then, Dylan?
Oh man.
No? With the SQ?
Me, or if Arne's watching, she's always got good food as well. But look, we always have a good feed. I guess you made me laugh because you mentioned a change of clothing. There's particular male players in the advanced cohort that have about 15 changes of clothes. But especially currently we're in a heat wave. You can probably see I'm sweating like crazy now. Take it seriously. I've tournament directed an event with someone that has had heat exhaustion after an event, and it's not good. That's the last thing we want. So make sure you're hydrated, good to go.
Cramps are also not fun.
Well, yeah, actually, we had a bunch of tournaments last year that had players cramping up. Yeah. Look, we'll leave it at that. I think that was an amazing chat. Good insight too, because this was informative stuff. But nothing else you guys want to add? No.
Come and watch us playing and support us.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much for watching. We will leave it there, and we'll see you around on the next video. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.